Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first full episode of Magic All Around. I'm Christiane Knight, but you can call me Zian or Z if you want. I'm not picky. I'm your soon-to-be favorite artist, author, and all-around goofball, bearing my soul to the world to encourage others to do the same. I'm known for several things: being honest and vulnerable, encouraging artistic rebellion, and writing hopeful fantasy books set in my hometown of Baltimore, Maryland, USA. My characters are musicians, artists, community builders, a collection of fae and mortal all who know well what it's like to live on the fringes of what's considered normal while they dream of a better world and learn to take the steps to make those dreams reality. And just in case you haven't seen them, there they are. It's a big claim for books that I wouldn't dare call deep literature, maybe, but I think characters that look and feel like us, well, maybe a little bit cooler, and struggle through questions like how do we forgive our enemies in between music gigs and helping at community gardens is maybe just what we need right now. Or maybe that's just me. But as these books are very much me speaking from my heart, that makes sense. Anyway, one of the most important tenets of my life, and also one that I echo in my books, is that magic is all around us if we only find a way to see it. Which brings us to the first chapter in our podcast. And that is Magic Seeking. Magic Seeking, the art of finding enchantments. Magic seeking is a topic near and dear to me. If you spend any amount of time around me, you'll find that I tend to notice small things that a lot of other people miss. I think it's easy to be distracted by the demands of everyday life, but this is a technique that we can teach each other. I think distraction and multitasking are number one and number two enemies in this endeavor. And I'm saying this as someone who loves to multitask, but it really does discourage us from paying deep attention, the kind of concentration that allows previously unnoticed things to pop out. So here's a task for small magic. It's really simple. Go outside and find a plant. It can be a weed, which is preferable, a tree, a pretty garden perennial. If you can't go outside, look at one of your indoor plants. If you don't have an indoor plant, open your fridge and take out a vegetable. Work with what you've got, right? But the best is outside because that allows the most serendipity possible. Don't play music. Don't talk to people. Don't do anything but let yourself study this plant in detail. Look at the leaves. What shape are there? Pointy edges? Smooth ones? Can you see the veins? What's the texture and colors that you see? Do the same for any flowers or fruits that might be there. How do the colors change? Are there tiny hairs? Any pollen? Are there bugs? What kind? And if so, are you unfamiliar with them? What shape is the stem? A lot of weeds in your yard might have square stems, which means that somewhere they're related to mints. Is there a smell? Is it pleasant or acrid? Do you know this plant by name or what people might use it for? Now, go inside or someplace shady with a journal and write down your impressions. Think about what you noticed and give a short report about the things you found most interesting or surprising. Can you recall what your plant looked like or felt like in your mind? Are you a visual thinker or a textual one? In other words, do you see in words or do you see in visions? This little exercise might not seem like much, but what it does is prime your brain for looking at details in a relaxed and exploratory kind of way. You're engaging in curiosity and focused observation, which daily life can often numb and dull. Your end goal is to start using this regularly, not just on plants, which are always delightful to look at in detail, but apply it to all aspects of your life as you get a chance. During dinner, for example, take a moment to look over your meal. Notice colors, textures, components, scents. And then when you're ready, the tastes and how they feel in your mouth. Eat slowly, savoring all those details that often get missed as we look at our devices, the TV, a book, and see how you feel at the end of the meal. Are you more satisfied? Did you find that your meal wasn't nearly as pleasant as you thought? Maybe you've been missing the flavors or eating so mindlessly that you didn't even realize that you don't like them. Let yourself interact slowly and with purpose. Let the everyday magic reveal itself. Don't think it's magic? Stick with it. Now, let's talk about soundtracks a little with music at the Maith. I've always related songs to my writing, from blog posts to journal entries to now placing songs at the head of every chapter of my books. I love the additional context that they lend. Sometimes they add a mood, other times they hint at what's to come. Occasionally, they're both. And in the case of one song, the song at the beginning chapter of Cast a Shadow of Doubt, it not only hints at themes in the story, but feels self-referential as well. That song is The Kindest World by Strange Boutique, a now-defunct DC area band that holds a place near and dear to my heart. They were fronted by the delightful Monica Richards, who delivers clever, mysterious, and occasionally sardonic lyrics with the voice of a jaded yet hopeful priestess or sibyl over guitar-driven ethereal pop, as they themselves describe it. Anyway, some of the lyrics that I really like from this. It's safer, travel by the dead beat. My kindest worlds are penned relief with predicted patience. Hard to say, harder to sing. It's safer, travel by the dead beat. My kindest worlds are penned relief with predicted patience. My monsters, my diabolical children. One face disgraced, the other held in singular distaste. And if I find myself inside the books upon my shelf, such pointless energy, a cautious and fragmented duel, my silence kills my writing skills. One face disgraced, the other held in love's embrace. These are lines that resonate with me, the writer, and the creations that flow from my mind to the paper. Monica nailed it. A little bit more. It's a conscious thing to be a stepping stone. We'll grind that thought into these devastated bones. My tiny murderess, my blackest widow, a tired songstress, one face disgraced, the other held in love's embrace. I immediately think of the ladies and their darkness, but also the purpose it serves, and Lucy, the musician who struggles to save everything she loves, and Camlin, a villain who wants nothing more than to reform himself, but isn't sure that's possible. This song was on the soundtrack from the very beginning, before I even knew all the places that Cast a Shadow of Doubt would go with the plot. It wasn't until later that I realized how well indeed that it fits with the story and myself. You can get this song and the album. It's from at https://strangeboutique.bandcamp.com. I recommend checking out everything that Monica Richards has been involved with, but Strange Boutique holds a special place in my life. And from that, let's go to writing and what I've been writing about lately. I want to say it's been quiet on the writing front, but that would be a lie. I'm still waiting for the edited copy of the upcoming book, A Third Kind of Madness. But in the meantime, I've been preparing to start on my fourth book. This one will be another NaNoWriMo project, which is how I wrote a bulk of In Sleep You Know. In case you're not familiar with it, NaNoWriMo is short for National Novel Writing Month. The goal is just as advertised, write a novel in a month. It happens to be the month of November. For these purposes, a novel is 50,000 words, and usually my books are twice that, so I use the month to get a good start for the book to be. And in this case, I'm actually planning a short story or novella, depending on what happens with the plot. So I might actually be able to write the entire text in a month. I'm not too used to writing short form, so this will be an interesting exercise for me. I have a story and I'm working on the outline now. If you've been following me, you might know that I don't usually work for much of an outline as a plantster, preferring the barest suggestion of what road I'm taking. I've been asked, so I'll confirm that it's not an Illyrianan story, though chances are good that someone you know may show up as a background character. It does take place in Baltimore because I'm very invested in writing hopeful stories about my city. The premise? Two lonely people meet through an online bulletin board and send each other longing emails filled with stories and poetry. Slowly, one of them begins to sense that something's not quite as they assumed. Sound intriguing? I'll be talking more about it in November when I actually start writing it. Popping back to a third kind of madness, the plan is to publish in early spring 2024. If you want to help me with that, please. Supporting me on Ko-Fi is the way to go. You can follow me for updates or throw a couple of dollars my way for the tea fund because I'm tea-powered. Or if you're interested in behind-the-scenes glimpses or getting tips for writers, I have memberships for that. You can also buy my books directly from me, or you can pre-order a signed copy of A Third Kind of Madness, which really helps with my editing and publishing costs because, I'm self-published, so I pay for it all myself up front. The link is ko-fi.com/3ravenspress, and I'll make sure it's linked below too. And now to the next segment, and the next segment is all about art and mystique. And I didn't have a lot to comment on about art quite yet, other than to mention that I recently started reading The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. Yes, that Rick Rubin. And I found a lot of inspiration there. He says about it, I set out to write a book about what to do to make a great work of art. Instead, it revealed itself to be a book on how to be. I think that's a pretty good assessment. I find in some ways that it's a good pair with The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It doesn't give you assignments to help you with your creativity, but rather makes observations about mindset and how you relate with the world in a way that helps the reader look deeper, which, as we know, I'm all about. I've only read about a third of the book, so I'll have to report back with a full review, but so far I've been enjoying the inspiration. You can check it out at your local library, like I did, or if you want to buy a copy, may I suggest using bookstore.org? I'll put a link down below in the show notes for you for that. And while we're moving quick through these, really quick, we are up to the last segment, and the last segment is Crafty Charms. And Crafty Charms is all about what I'm making. So I mentioned that I'm prepping for Nano, but I've also been keeping my creative juices flowing by playing with other art forms. A quick aside to mention that when I say playing, that's not demeaning what I do. Art should be play, because freeing ourselves from expectations and letting ourselves get lost in the moment can bring the most transformative works of art. My play is being enhanced by art journaling. When I lived in North Carolina, I had a really great creative group of artists that I belonged to. And one in particular, Melissa, lived very nearby and had a lot of the same fun attitude that I do. She and I decided that it would be a blast to work through Carrie Smith's Wreck This Journal together. And we had regular coffee house dates where we took over with markers and paper, glue, and sass and wrecked the hell out of our journals. Just to give you a quick glimpse, hopefully you're watching this visually, you can see some of these are really just totally goofy. You could scratch through the paper. Here's one that's all circles with lots of just different found things that I pasted in. I recently rediscovered our group on Flickr where we documented everything, and it made me want to explore some more of those prompt-driven journaling exercises. So I started a Facebook group and got to work making prompts. I also got myself a mixed paper journal to work with, and I've dove in with aplomb. The folks in the group are all artist friends from different places in my life, and it's a lot of fun to watch them all slowly get involved in the idea. So cool. If you want to join that, you send me a message. I'm not going to post the link for it out in the wild, but if you're interested, I will hook you up. The other thing I've been doing, of course, is working on my miniaturized versions of the characters from the Illyrian series and making things to go into a doll-sized version of their houses. And they're fashion dolls, so 11.5-inch or 1/6 scale is what I'm working with. Sometimes it's difficult to find the right proportions. Things are often slightly too big or too small, but I make it work. This is, let me straighten around a little bit. This is Lucy, and you can see I've spent a lot of time working on Lucy's hair. It's not finished yet. I was so smart to come up with the idea of 1,000,000 tiny green and black braids as a hairstyle. Let me tell you, damn brilliant. I wanted to reroot her hair to make this look, but after I took her head off and cut the original hair, I realized that I can't get the roots out. It's glued or melted in such a way that it's impossible to pull out. So I went to idea number 2, which was to make a wig. However, I'm no expert on this, and so although I'm pretty crafty, after looking through YouTube and other places for ideas and instruction, I rejected most of the ideas for wig caps and decided to crochet my own, which you can see. There's the wig cap that I'm working on. Next, though, came the actual hair, and that's where I think I made things unnecessarily complex with myself. See, I'm good at freeform crochet. I did a really good job of fitting this to her head, but I got some cotton thread that's twisted so it looks reasonably like small braids, and I started doing half hitch on each strand to attach it to the cap. 1,000,000 threads later, and it still looks like this. There's so much more to do. You don't know how long I've been working on this. As you can see, I've got quite a way to go. The black thread is also really hard on the eyes, so I can only work for it so long in a session before I need to stop. I'll keep y'all updated. Oh, and also, this is our buddy Merrick here. He needs to be reworked. He actually is. The doll is J-Hope from BTS. So yeah, he needs to be reworked a little bit in the face to make him look a little more like Merrick. But I love him, and yeah, he works really well. His hair is perfect. I did manage to make up a bunch of MGA Miniverse Make It Mini resin minis for the house, which I meant to put on camera, but I forgot to grab them. So I'll put some pictures out there for people up on the blog, because these are incredibly addictive and they're easy to do. I love all the details in the packaging and how cute they are when they're finished. I really want some more of the lifestyle minis, especially the plants and the fishbowl ones. I find them soothing to make, and they add cute details to the doll's house. Oh, you want to see the house? Not yet. Soon, I promise. I can't say it'll look either like the Maith or House Mirabilis, but it's very cute, and it feels magical. Absolutely magical. So, guess what? We're at the end of this. That's everything I've got for this episode of Magic All Around. I hope you enjoyed it in my ramblings. Like and subscribe, blah, blah, to keep up on when the next episode airs. I'm aiming for once a month to start, alternating with my reads from In Sleep You Know. As I get better at this and or feel more energetic, then the timetable might change with more episodes. Yeah. But the best way to know if I should aim for that is through your feedback. So leave comments and please share with other magic seekers. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Christiane Knight, and this is Magic All Around Us.